Who is the best Robin? Batman's first sidekick, Robin, first debuted in April 1940, and since then he has stayed the most popular and the most iconic sidekick of all time. During the years of Batman's crime fighting, he has had many Robins. Some might say too many Robins.
How many Robins have there been? 2? 6?
I actually think there's like 7 of them. I don't know at this point. But that's why today we are going to be ranking who was the best and who was the worst during the roles in the Robin Mantle. In this video, I'm ranking all 4 of the main Robins from best to absolutely worst. So I will only be covering the 4 main Robins, that being Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne. My rankings is based on 3 things: how iconic they are, how successful they were during their time as Robin, and who is the most worthy to take the Batman mantle. TV shows and live action matters, so these rankings will be based inside and outside of the comic books. Now let's get to the list. Before we get to the top, we gotta start at the bottom, the very bottom, starting with the absolute worst Robin, which is obviously Tim Drake.
Not with the chat. You thought to Goku sent back. I'm like, she kept trying to party with Heather. My bitch and her friend trying to get them together. She like, no, we not doing that. I'm like, fuck that. I'm trying to get it to cheddar.
Okay, nah, I'm just playing. The worst Robin is Jason Todd, hands down. I mean, to be honest, sorry to you Jason Todd fans, but your boy going 0 for 3. Jason is the worst Robin iconically, and is the worst Robin successfully, and is the worst to fit the Batman mantle. I mean, Jason Todd is iconic, but for the wrong reasons. When people hear his name, they don't think, that's the boy wonder Batman sidekick. They think, oh yes, the kid Joker beat Black and Blue with a crowbar. It kind of felt like he was only there to make the Joker's character more evil. And it's crazy because his entire legacy is built off of failure. Batman consistently says that Jason Todd is his biggest failure, and he's reminded of this every time he sees his face. And despite all the things I'm saying about Jason Todd, I actually like the character. I just don't like him as Robin. He's just a way better character as the Red Hood. And no one would disagree with that. I mean, the fans literally voted to kill him off in 1988.
Man, that movie was some bull. Can we watch Willie Dynamite?
Oh, this is no movie, little orphan Terrio. This is your new life. I mean, if you know how to kill.
Oh, I know how to kill him.
Ooh, ooh, kill him. Ooh, 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 kill him. Ooh, ooh, ah. Ooh, killed him.
Not to mention, iconically, Jason Todd Robin is not even close to the others. I mean, his whole purpose as Robin was to be another Dick Grayson. So they gave him the exact same origin story as Dick Grayson. And I mean the exact same origin story. Back in 1983, Jason Todd was a kid who was also a circus acrobat with his mom and dad, and together they made up the Flying Todds. His parents were then killed and Batman just felt bad, so he adopted him and took him under his wing to become the next Robin. Yeah, this is literally a carbon copy of Dick Grayson's origin story, except his family wore red and yellow instead of green and yellow.
That's my bar!
Shit.
He copied my whole fucking flow!
That kissed me through the phone!
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar! Don't act like I didn't make Drake, nigga!
Basically, Jason Todd only even came into existence because over the years, Dick Grayson started to age up, and he started having better and more mature character development. He has now become a leader instead of just Batman's sidekick. And the fans actually love this new version of Dick.
Ha! Gay!
However, people at DC weren't too sure about the change. And during the 80s, the writers and creative team behind Batman desperately wanted to bring back the Batman and Boy Wonder team up. So without further ado, Gary Conaway and the other members of the creative team came out with the bullshit origin story of the Flying Todds.
This is #1 bullshit.
And that shit was trash. As you can expect, fans gave immediate pushback to this decision, and the creator only had this to say as a response. People might consider that a lazy decision, but for me, it was a necessary one because I wanted to embrace that mythology. That shit was trash. They did not change this until after Crisis on Infinite Earths. DC rebooted Jason Todd's origin completely in Batman 408. This is where they introduced the famous new version we all know today, where we call Jason Todd boosting the tires off the Batmobile like a G. Going further, Jason's time as Robin was not only not as impactful, but it was also not as successful. Jason was the least successful Robin by far, and it's not even close. Just compare his resume to Dick Grayson, who started crime fighting at 8 years old and had years of development and countless successful missions. Tim Drake literally saved Batman from depression and became the detective prodigy. Damian became a trained assassin before he took the Robin mantle and as soon as he entered in, started racking up wins early. Meanwhile, Jason's track record is like a resume with nothing to show for it. Honestly, Jason might as well just been a work-for-hire Robin. He had the shortest run as Robin outside of Carrie Kelly. Even the comics really didn't show a long list of victories because his era was mostly drama, arguments, and foreshadowing his downfall. Some examples of Jason being unsuccessful is Batman 424, where Jason literally kills a criminal by dropping him off a balcony. We see here this guy falling off a giant apartment building to his death. Batman swings in. Robin, what happened? Robin says nothing. He stares him down. Robin can't look him in his eyes. Robin, did he fall? Or was he pushed? I guess I shocked him. He slipped. Bye. And again, later that year, in Detective Comics 570, he constantly puts the mission at risk with his own anger management behavior. Constantly having to get pulled off of criminals and being too rough on just lonely muggers and just disobeying what Batman tells him what to do. There's even a time where Jason Todd picks up a gun and shoots at the police. Yeah, the police. Honestly, as much as Jason Todd was messing up, Batman should have seen this coming. And Jason himself admits years later that he was never a good Robin because he was too angry and undisciplined. So yeah, much of Jason Todd's Robin career was unsuccessful. It only lasted about 2 years because he was killed by the Joker before a redemption arc could even be had.
Whoa, now hang on. That looked like it hurt a lot more. So, let's try and clear this up, okay, Pumpkin? What hurts more? A or B? Forehand or backhand?
Jason would also be the worst to pick up the Batman Mantle. Jason is the shoot first, ask questions never Robin, the guy who carries guns, the vigilante who breaks bones before even asking a guy what he even did. He's basically like a Punisher Jr. for real. This would be absolutely terrible. He doesn't match the Mantle at all. He's too violent, too unstable, and too emotionally reactive. He's the only Robin who would turn the no-kill rule into a kill optional depends on the person rule. Jason's strengths are aggression and provision. He consistently lacks the detective patience and tactical foresight that Bruce has. A Batman who kills using guns or acts like Red Hood will become the thing Gotham fears, not the thing Gotham needs. Jason's literally the exact person Bruce trained not to be. Impulsive, lethal, and driven by revenge. He's the fastest route to becoming Gotham's problem, not its solution. Even Bruce stated multiple times that Jason does not have the temperament to be a Batman. The next Robin is not the worst, but definitely not the best, and it's Damian Wayne.
I don't have time for this, Damian.
A good father would make time.
A better son would deserve it.
Now, honestly, I was really hesitant to put Damian here because Damian is still on his time as Robin, and he still has time to improve, which he actually is. His character development is already better than all the other Robins, and he's not even done yet. However, if you take a look at Damian Wayne like right now as the best Robin, you would be crazy. Let's start with iconically. Damian Wayne is definitely iconic. I mean, there's even big talks on Damian being the live-action Robin in the new DCU. In my opinion, Damian Wayne's backstory is the most memorable and the most investing. He was first debuted in Batman 456, and he was the secret child of Batman Talia al Ghul. Apparently, she took his some of Batman's DNA and made Damian in an artificial womb. Talia al Ghul also used to be in a relationship with Batman until he left her high and dry for Catwoman. So I guess ever since then, she's been like an on and off again villain or something. However, she's always kind of been that anyway, I guess. But anyways, because she has now moved on from Batman, she has decided to do what any woman would and make a secret love child from his DNA and design the kid to be a perfect assassin that is able to kill his father and inherit all of his belongings. This is clearly a plan only your crazy ex would think of.
Me and your son.
Son? You expect me to believe this?
I assure you, he's yours.
Don't look so stunned, Father. I thought you'd be taller. You didn't know about me?
No.
Damian Wayne first met his father at 10, and he already could speak a bunch of languages and had already assassinated several people. You already know the vibe. Sword in hand, I'm better than you. He's calling everyone Todd like it's an insult. This kid's a complete menace. What gives him an iconic edge over the others is how he arrived. His introduction in Batman and Son 2006 is still one of the best Robin introductions ever. Bruce finds out he has a son, a 10-year-old assassin, who immediately tries to beat up Tim Drake and take his spot as the best Robin. Then there's Son of Batman 2014, the animated movie, one of the most popular DC movies of all time. Damian steals the entire show. His attitude was hilarious, his costume was peak, and he had a badass fight with Deathstroke on a rooftop. The movie where Damian first met Batman is one of the best DC animated movies. I would 100% rather see this origin than the other Robins. Now let's get to Successfully. Here's where it gets tricky. Damian's arguably the most talented Robin at his age. Multiple comics confirm this. But there's a catch. He does not listen at all. This is Damian's entire flaw as Robin. His success is limited not by his ability, but by his refusal to follow orders. And we literally have several examples of this. He does this all the time. Matter of fact, in Teen Titans 2016, he basically turned the Titans into a dictatorship, adding prison cells and wrongful interrogations and tracking villains. The team rebelled against him, and he got kicked out by his own team, which is crazy to say because Batman sent him to the Titans in the first place to learn how to work as a team.
So this is my punishment? Enduring a bunch of school children?
This is not punishment. Hopefully you'll learn to be part of a team.
Teammates are a liability.
Really? Then what am I to you?
An unavoidable irritation.
And in Detective Comics The Rebirth era, Bruce literally tells Damian, "You must learn control. Without it, you would destroy everything you care about." That line sums up his entire career. You might not think this is a big knock or flaw on his character until you know about the City of Bane incident. This is the biggest example and a perfect point of why this is such a big flaw. In the City of Bane incident, Batman 77, Bane takes over the entire city of Gotham. Damian disobeys Batman, storms Gotham alone, tries to fight Bane and Flashpoint Batman, and several other villains. And guess what happens? Bane kills Alfred, yeah, right in front of Damian. This is the darkest and most heartbreaking failures in Batman franchise. And it directly came from Damian's refusal just to follow the plan. You can't call someone the most successful Robin. One of their biggest failures as a Robin is the death of Alfred. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not just saying this because I like Alfred as a character, but this was just a huge L on Damian's part. This is the dumbest and most worst thing someone in the Bat family has done. Alfred actually remains dead to this day. And yeah, you can imagine how Batman felt about this. Now, to be fair, Damian has gotten better. In the Lazarus tournament, he has learned honor and restraint, and he's let go of his inner assassin. He's become more level-headed and more heroic, showing insane growth at just such a young age. And so yes, he's not the worst, but he still has more potential than Jason ever did. But based only on what we have right now, he's the second worst Robin in terms of overall success. Not because he's incapable, but because he constantly sabotages himself. Lastly, let's talk about Damian fitting the Batman mantle. He could, but he shouldn't. This one's kind of complicated. Could Damian become Batman? Yes, he can, absolutely. He has the discipline, the martial arts mastery, the detective ability, and the willpower. But here's the problem. He would become too much like Bruce. In the wise words of Deadpool, he's a mini Batman. Batman works because he balances fear with restraint. Damian's entire struggle is learning to not become a lethal vigilante. If he became Batman, he might cross the line that Bruce would never cross. Or flip the other direction, he might overcorrect and become a Batman who's too rigged, too harsh, and too emotionless. Either way, he wouldn't become a better Batman. And that's why he lands where he does. So basically, Damian Wayne is iconic, absolutely top tier, unforgettable, one of the most beloved modern characters in the entire Bat family. Damian is successful, talented, gifted, and deadly, but his constant disobedience keeps him at a low ranking. Could he fit the mantle? He could, but he wouldn't refine it. Batman's success depends on planning, patience, and discipline. Damian repeatedly disobeys orders, acts on emotion, and takes unnecessary risks, as you can see from the City of Bane incident. As a Batman, those mistakes would cost civilian lives and collapse the entire Bat family. That's why Damian Wayne sits above Jason Todd, but below the other two Robins. And to be honest, the bar is actually really low because of Jason Todd. He really just needed something. The next Robin, iconically, is arguably number 1. So let's get into the Robin who is the hardest to rank because Tim Drake is genuinely one of the most complete and well-rounded and fully realized Robins. Jason was reckless, Damian was born dangerous, but Tim Drake was built for the job. Unlike the others, Tim was the first Robin to actually earn the title. Tim became Robin for one reason and one reason only. Batman needed him. After Jason's death, Bruce was collapsing under the weight of the cowl. more violent and more unstable and more reckless. In Batman 441, this kid shows up to Dick Grayson's apartment and basically just says this: Batman needs a Robin, so I'm going to be Robin. Not because he wanted to be the Boy Wonder, but because Gotham needed Batman and Batman needed a partner. This alone puts Tim Drake in a different league from all the other Robins. I mean, Tim Drake iconically is probably number one. Tim isn't just iconic, he defined a whole era of Robin. Tim Drake was the first Robin with the solo running series. Tim is the only Robin who solo run lasted for about almost 200 issues, with 108 issues. This gave Tim more character development as a Robin than any of the others. His origin is the smartest of any Robin. This is shown in Batman 436. He didn't get recruited, he qualified for the job. Tim Drake's Robin suit also became the modern template of the Robin. Tim Drake was actually the first Robin to use a bow staff and have the red and black design. The reason Tim Drake used the bow staff because he realized he would never be as strong or fast as Dick Grayson, so he needed a weapon that gave him reach and control without lethal force. Not to mention, Tim Drake's relationships helped define the modern DC template. His relationship with Bart Allen, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown created an era of fans still called Peak Titans. He also had an amazing relationship with Con-El, Superboy, which is the Superboy clone. He actually starts wearing the red and black because of the death of Superboy, and he uses it to honor Superboy's legacy. So that's actually how the red and black came into the Robin mythos. Now let's go on to success. Tim Drake is one of DC's most successful sidekicks ever. Tim's success comes from intelligence, leadership, and pure detective work. Tim Drake's career started with success because he proved himself before even becoming Robin. Tim saved Batman and Nightwing from Two-Face in Batman 442 before Bruce ever let him wear the suit. No Robin has ever done something like that pre-Robin. Tim Drake is a top-tier detective. Bruce, Jim Gordon, and even Ra's al Ghul have all said Tim's detective skills are elite. In Red Robin 12, Ra's calls Tim a detective worthy of the name. Even Bruce says Tim might surpass him one day in detective work. Tim Drake has also successfully led two teams, that being Young Justice and the Teen Titans. This basically means that Tim Drake led two generations of superheroes. These teams included Superboy, Kid Flash, Raven, Wonder Girl, Beast Boy. All of these heavy hitters listen to Tim because his brain is his superpower. Tim Drake is also the most stable and reliable. Dick Grayson's balance, Jason's chaos, and Damian's like a walking problem, but Tim is pretty consistent. Batman trusts Tim with multiple major responsibilities. Tim can lead any Gotham team, operate alone, he can mentor younger sidekicks, or give strategic oversight. Tim is definitely the Robin you want if Gotham goes into crisis. To be fair, Tim Drake is not the greatest fighter, which is a big knock if you want to be the next Batman. He's also not aggressive whatsoever. He's probably the least aggressive Robin. And I feel like Tim Drake could be the top of this list, but post New 52, his character has weakened and just been written terribly and butchered by writers. But even with that, he still ranks above Damian and Jason. If Batman had to chase a replacement based strictly on detective skills, leadership, and discipline, Tim Drake would definitely be the answer. I mean, Tim Drake's detective skills rivals Bruce. They stated this in multiple comics. Tim thinks like Batman, he plans like Batman, and detects like Batman. One day, he can easily become the world's greatest detective. He doesn't have aggression for the cow though. Batman requires intimidation, presence, fear, and violence when necessary. Tim can do these things, but he's not built for it emotionally. He's too compassionate and too strategic. It's great traits for Robin, but not for a Batman. Honestly, the combat is his biggest weakness. He's not weak, but he's just not elite. He's stated multiple times to be behind Dick, Jason, and Damian in hand-to-hand combat. However, his brain and mix-ups with his lack of fighting skills lets him be a good combatant when he fights people. And honestly, he doesn't even want the mantle. In multiple comics, including Red Robin, Detective Rebirths, Tim makes it clear he wants to build something new, not inherit someone else's trauma. And honestly, can you blame him? Who wants to be Gotham's most sleep-deprived billionaire, orphan, ninja, detective, vigilante? Because of all these reasons, I came to the conclusion that Tim Drake is the second best Robin. Last but definitely not least, the best Robin. You probably saw this coming, but Dick Grayson is the undisputed pound-for-pound best Robin of all time.
Hard or easy? Your choice.
Please say hard. I need the training.
Looks like I'm not the only one with a lackey.
Who's the lackey now, huh?
Sure.
Alright, we now reach the top. The number one Robin, the blueprint, the one every other Robin gets compared to, whether they like it or not, Dick Grayson. Jason was reckless, Damian was born dangerous, Tim was built for the role, but Dick Grayson created the role. The reason the word Robin even exists in pop culture is because of him. Every sidekick in comics owes their entire existence to an 8-year-old acrobat whose parents were murdered right in front of him. And once Batman brought him in, He didn't just become Robin, he defined what a superhero partner is. Dick Grayson's arguably the most iconic sidekick in comic book history, not just DC. When people hear Robin, they aren't thinking Jason, they're not thinking Tim, they aren't thinking Damian, they're thinking Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was the first ever Robin, the sidekick that changed comics forever. Dick appeared in Detective Comics 38 all the way back in 1940. Before him, there were no kid sidekicks, ever. Comics were dark, violent, and not aimed for kids. Dick Grayson Robin changed that. He made the medium explode in popularity. After Dick Grayson debuted, publishers rushed to copy the formula. Out of nowhere came Bucky Barnes, Speedies, Wonder Girls, and Aqualads. The entire kid hero structure exists because of one character. Dick Grayson chose the name, he made the costume, and created the entire identity. The name Robin came from Robin Hood, not the bird actually, and Grayson's circus colors inspired the iconic suit. And he created the visual language of Robin. Every redesign traces back to Dick. Not to mention, he's also the face of Robin in media. Even when shows don't say the Robin's name is Dick Grayson, they're usually using his template. Like in Teen Titans 2003, the new Batman Adventure, Young Justice, Lego Batman, virtually every animated Robin before 2010 is just default Dick Grayson. The standard, the boy wonder. Now let's get to why Dick Grayson is the most successful Robin ever. Unlike Jason who failed, or Damian who struggled, or Tim who eventually got sidelined by writers, Dick Grayson has never failed. He just outgrew his mantle. He didn't quit being Robin, Bruce mishandled him. And honestly, Batman really was genuinely just pushing Dick Grayson away. Like, he would slap the shit out of him just for having a disagreement. Like, this is really just crazy. This was Dick Grayson's Kyrie moment. After this shit, he knew he was fucking leaving. Batman stopped treating Dick Grayson as a partner, becoming more controlling, so Dick realized this and he needed his independence. He didn't fail his role failed him. Dick Grayson was born for acrobatics. He's literally a superhero talent. Dick Grayson wasn't just some talented circus kid. He was a flying Grayson, which is an elite performer with a move so dangerous that no human on Earth could replicate it. This is actually important because this is how Tim Drake discovered Dick was Robin. Not to mention the Court of Owls had already targeted Dick Grayson to become a talent even before Batman had adopted him as a child. That means two separate organizations were saying, yeah, this kid's built different. Dick Grayson wasn't fighting petty thieves. He was out here scrapping with Gotham's biggest supervillains before he hit puberty. In Green Lantern 87, Kid Grayson even manages to get the drop on Hal Jordan and crushes his windpipe. Let that sink in. An 8 to 12-year-old boy beat up a space cop. At this age, he's already leagues in front of your average sidekick. And this is the most important thing about Dick Grayson. He is the only Robin who successfully became his own hero. Not a replacement, not a side character, not a spin-off, a full A-tier hero who leads the Titans, the Outsiders, leads the Justice League at times, has his own city, Bloodhaven, has one of the best solo series in modern DC by Tom Taylor. He grew up and grew upwards. Furthermore, his combat ability, as far as skill, is even better than Batman's, which is actually canon. This isn't fan myth. This is literally stated multiple times in Batman 687. Bruce acknowledges Dick's superior agility. In Nightwing Rebirth, Dick says Bruce taught him, but he has surpassed Bruce in certain level of movements. In Detective Comics 722, Bruce tells Dick that he's faster than he will ever be. Dick is the one fighter in the Bat family who can beat Batman in pure agility and acrobatics hands down. Dick Grayson's obviously the best leader in this entire generation. He led and founded the entire Teen Titans. He was the leader of Young Justice. He's completely trusted by the Justice League. He's Batman's second in command in emergencies. He is the first call when Batman's out of commission. Even Damian respects Dick Grayson, which is saying a lot because Damian barely respects Oxygen. And if you don't believe that Dick Grayson's the best Robin, all the other Robins acknowledge him as the best. Damian's first instinct upon meeting Dick was to try to beat him up to prove that he was better. Jason constantly compares himself to Dick Grayson and just lives in his shadow. Tim idolized Dick Grayson while growing up. He studied everything about him and that's how he figured out he was Robin. They all know who sits at the top. Let's get to Dick Grayson fitting Batman's mantle. And honestly, I think he's the best to fit the mantle. You'd think Tim make more sense for the cowl, but that's only in practice. Dick Grayson's the only Robin who works as Batman right now. First of all, he's already been Batman multiple times, not like hypothetically, not in like an alternate universe. Canonically has been Batman several times, like in Batman Battle for the Cowl, he's become Batman. In Batman and Robin 2009, he was provisional Batman during Joker's Endgame. And in several Justice League emergencies, he stepped up to be Batman. Each time he succeeded, not just survived. His leadership experience and skills makes him the best option to become Gotham's new Batman. Where Bruce isolates Dick Grayson with build community, he doesn't replace Batman, but he will modernize the role. Even Commissioner Gordon mentions in Batman and Robin 2009 that Gotham feels lighter under Dick's control.
Ha! Gay!
Dick Grayson's huge issue with taking the Batman mantle is he does not want the mantle, just like Tim Drake. And if he was to take the mantle, he always takes Batman in a different approach. He basically just does it in his way. He can do it, and he has done it. He's done it well. But Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Bruce. You can't even blame bro. He just wants to be himself. And honestly, that's exactly why he's so perfect for the role. He doesn't chase it. He rises to Gotham when he needs it. I kind of like that he works different from the standard Batman. For example, currently what's happening right now in DC KO, Batman's getting sent to alternate universes where he's fighting his Robins who grew up and all took the Batman mantle. Perfect for his video. So we've seen Jason Todd and we've seen Dick Grayson, which is also perfect because that's the one that says the worst and the one that says the best. And as you can expect, in Jason Todd's timeline, Joker destroyed the city. There's like green toxic gas that's covered the city, but Jason put like a glass dome over it so like it won't cover the towers, and I guess he's the only one alive or something. He did a terrible job, obviously, and he's here trying to kill Batman. And then we get to Dick's timeline, and he's in control of a futuristic Batman Beyond like city and has several Robins under his command, just like Batman, and he's literally has the city on lock. But you can tell he's a different Batman than the regular one. But even Batman says himself that what you did here is great. You're a better Batman than I could ever be. But after he says this and gives him like a light talk, he beats him up and says, "You're too trusting," which is honestly a big flaw of Dick Grayson. But you get the point. Dick Grayson will be the best to become Batman. Dick Grayson isn't just the best Robin. He's the heart of the entire Bat family. The original, the standard, the legacy, the one every Robin wishes they could be. Alright man, here's my Robin tier list, and don't forget to subscribe. I post constant bangers, and I know bangers. Please like the video, it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Then scootaloo, toodle pip, and see you next time.